Welcome to Southbank Centre and our first Digital Unlimited. Please make yourself comfortable and grab any drinks or snacks you need as the event is about to begin. Firstly, a bit of housekeeping from us to make things run smoothly. If you require captions, please click on the closed caption box at the bottom of your screen to view these. Thanks to Claire Hill and Wendy Osmond for providing these for all live events throughout the festival. If you require British Sign Language interpretation, please pin the interpreter to your screen for live conversations. You can do this by hovering over their video and clicking the pin icon. You may need to multi-pin the interpreter and the speakers. Thanks to Performance Interpreting for coordinating this. If you use social media and want to share your festival experiences, please use @Southbank Centre, @WeAreUnlimited, #UnlimitedFest. We really hope you enjoy this event and the whole festival experience. It's always great to learn from our audiences what has worked well and what we could be doing better. Audience surveys will be sent out for feedback after the events, but do feel free to send personal feedback to unlimited@southbankcentre.co.uk. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's event. My name is Melissa Johns. I am a white woman with mid-length blonde hair. I only have one arm, although you probably won't be able to see my arms in today's session. And I've got a very plain beige wall behind me that hasn't yet been painted. Thank you so much for coming to today's session. This session is an opportunity to get a preview of some of the most exciting projects that are in development by disabled artists. Today, we are very pleased to have Rowan James, Nye Russell-Thompson, Chanje Kunda and Katy Bennett pitching their work to us. We'll hear Rowan and Nye's pitches first, followed by an opportunity to ask them some questions. And after that, there'll be a short break. Then we'll hear Chanje and Katy's pitches and have a chance to ask them some questions. Firstly, just a reminder that this session is being recorded and it will be placed on Unlimited's YouTube channel for those that are in different time zones to access. Can we ask that you type all of your questions in the Q&A box rather than the chat? So all questions into the Q&A box. If for access you want to ask it yourself, for example, if you prefer to use BSL, if you use the raise hand button, our technical wizard Ben will invite you in to ask your question. All you need to do is just accept his invitation at that point. It'll be a bit awkward if you don't accept it. So just accept his invitation and that's when you'll be able to ask that question. But let's get on with it. Let's cover some of the first lot of content. We have Rowan James's pitch.
A Room Full of Elephant is a two-people theatre show with myself, a poet, and a signer. One of the key aims of the show was to build an accessibility provision into the body of the show as it was being created. The subject matter of the show is an exploration of the many different models of disability and the little differences in meaning and comparing the models and in which context they're most applicable. To do this, I use as an old story, a Hindu story called The Blind Village and the Elephant. It's about a marauding elephant going through a blind village and different members of the village coming back and reporting to everyone else what an elephant is. But obviously it depends on which part of the elephant they were touching. So some villagers come back and say an elephant is 4 tree trunks moving simultaneously. Another person comes back and says an elephant is a big snake. You get the idea. So, and then I look at all sorts of other stories and some that I've write myself, and parables that unpick, parables even that unpick the different models of disability.
Despite 100 years of memory, they couldn't agree upon the label. The first said, "It's carved in stone, it's constant and perpetual." The other one piped in, No, it's flexible and conceptual." A third followed with an assertion, "Disability is a deficiency, like a dining set that's all chairs without a table. It's something that is broken, tangled, missing, like a marble, car engine, or TDK cassette. It's a value that marks you from the cradle, or a meaning that's subjective, like a moral in the fable. It supplies a narrative of obstacles to overcome, like a knot in my trunk, and the interest in the tale is how it is undone." Nasruddin the shaman's next door neighbour was a little boy, for as long as he could remember, was the proud owner of an invisible elephant. The elephant was so big it couldn't turn around in his bedroom, but had to back out like he was leaving a parking space. The elephant had a thick hide-like gauze. The boy would hide behind the ears as if wearing a superhero's cape. Each morning the boy would polish the elephant's tusks, pick pebbles out of its hooves, and moisturise his skin. The elephant was inquisitive but shy. The elephant was messy, big, and clumsy. Often the elephant made the boy seem messy, big, and clumsy by association. The boy was dainty and tiptoed with pleasure, with ease, but the elephant would move with a slow deliberation that would cause the ground beneath to shake. No one could see the dainty boy, only feel the effects of the ground shaking elephant. The boy would plan his movements to be sure not to knock things over in his wake. The elephant would cause chaos and leave a path of tumbling objects wherever he went. In fact, the elephant became famous for his portrayal of the bull in the china shop. People didn't recognise the efforts of the boy. They were invisible, but they could see the aftermath of the elephant. The essence of myself I keep in the bottom, perched, a blueprint of tomorrow, an imprint, a secret ingredient, a ceramic bowl, a lump of clay, spinning, pushing gently with callous hands, leaving fossils of perfect imperfections. The invisible elephant and the boy volunteered at a poetry festival. They wrote a lot of poetry. The night before, the elephant was very restless. He was worried about the other people at the festival would judge them. The elephant felt bad for the boy. He felt he was a burden. The boy always had to wait for the elephant. The boy was scared. The elephant was scared that he would knock the boy as he was walking. People would notice the boy stumbling, and the boy was always making sure the elephant didn't get left behind. The boy seemed distracted. They got up early because the boy had been kept awake by the elephant The boy seemed dopey, and because the boy was worried about the elephant getting lost, the boy seemed distracted. They arrived at the poetry festival. The boy was polite, positive, and made people laugh. The elephant sometimes would worry that he couldn't see the boy and reach out with his trunk, scouting the boy's face. The invisible trunk would find the boy's face, but occasionally touching his lips, causing his words to come out sounding like his mouth was full or stumble his words. The more the boy felt conscious, the more the elephant would reach out and reassure him, and the more the boy would get his words caught in his lips. But most people were aware that there was an invisible elephant, even though they couldn't see it. They'd seen invisible elephants before, others had not. Some people thought the boy was stupid or drunk. They hadn't met people with invisible elephants before. Now, the boy felt relaxed around people who suspected he had an elephant. He would casually talk. He would say, "The other day, me and the elephant went surfing." Or, "I've just got to nip back and check on the elephant." The people who knew about elephants told the people who did not, until everyone knew about the boy and the elephant. The people who did not know about elephants decided that the best thing they should do was chuck glitter, paint over the elephant so they could see it. The elephant did not like the feeling of paint sticking to his thick hide. The boy wanted his elephant to be natural and feel free to blend in with his habitat. Now everyone saw the elephant. But that is not the point of invisible elephants.
Fantastic stuff there from Rowan James. Next up, we have the pitch from Nye Russell-Thompson.
We've all been in that certain situation, standing at the bustling platform of a cosmopolitan train station, pulsing with life as your fellow citizens make their way to their busy office or retail outlet or coffee dispensary. Suddenly, you realize that the elderly woman in front of you is standing over the yellow line and precariously close to the edge. You suddenly experience the curious and unsettling notion that you have the potential in this brief moment to push this vulnerable old matriarch onto the cold steel rails below, subsequently witnessing her hands explode like bags of blood as they pass under the wheels of a hurtling locomotive.
This is a show made by mad people.
Hello, my name is Nerida. I am a collaborator and sort of, I suppose, unofficial narrative consultant as well on Stellar Mouthpiece.
Hi, my name is Duncan. My pronouns are he, him. I am a theatre maker and director based in South Wales. I started working on this project as a director, leading the first couple of R&Ds. Now I've ended up being one of the performers somehow, whilst continuing to be a deviser and maker in the room along with the other artists.
My name is Nye Russell-Thompson. I am the creator of Stammer Mouth Theatre. I'm the producer, and one of the performers and one of the writers on this project.
We have these ideas of OCD, we see the compulsions, right? We see the behavior that the person is doing that we view as odd. We don't see the reasoning behind the behaviors. We've started to unpick the OCD cycle, or the way that intrusive thoughts manifest, and connect them to the behavior. So we start with the thought and then we follow it through round and see how these things start to attach meaning and become obsessions, really.
What if I'm just some speck of dust on a sexual deviant's finger? What if I didn't know the answer and it's okay not to? Actually, I can't prevent these things. You will like my jagged edges, and even if you cut your thumb on me, you will still want to touch me after a bit.
Who even cares what I think?
What if I'm a person like everyone else, and not some explosion waiting to happen one bad day away from disaster? What if I'm just a person standing here and looking at you? What if that's all I ever needed to be? What if I'm just a person standing here and learning to wonder, what if, what if, what if?
It took a long time to make, a lot of time to break down some of those internal barriers about how much people were willing to share about their experiences with intrusive thoughts.
One of the key elements of this piece is the use of a loop pedal that is controlled by Duncan. Essentially, I can say something quite innocuous, quite normal, and Duncan can take some of those words and twist them and make a new meaning out of something that I just said. And what we played with was keeping track of all of these intrusive thoughts, all of these little funny thoughts that Duncan or I had. And we kept them and we looped them on the loop pedal.
Is it still out there? Yeah. They were saying some really nasty things about you. Oh, why would they think that stuff? This box isn't here to keep you safe from them. Maybe it's there to keep them safe from you.
We're dealing with often the darkest, most scariest parts of our own heads, and we're reluctant to let anyone in there and to open ourselves up in that way. But it's been so fulfilling and exciting seeing this process and making this show be so therapeutic. Out of the three of us who've been working on the show recently, I probably have the least aggressive experiences of intrusive thoughts. I suppose something we want to communicate with the show is that everyone has intrusive thoughts to some degree, and they affect people in different ways. I've definitely had those classic intrusive thoughts about pushing the person at the train station, or kicking the pregnant person. Lots of those kind of typical ones, but probably I haven't found them debilitating in the same way that some of the other creatives on the project have done.
I think another thing that I find really exciting about this piece is that it deals with quite a common example of an intrusive thought, but one that isn't to do with contamination, which is the thing that we tend to see represented. When we were making this piece, we were really excited to integrate all of our experiences of intrusive thoughts together, so it's not necessarily autobiographical, it's very much a merging of our experiences, so that everyone, I think, who sees it and maybe either suffers from intrusive thoughts or doesn't, can kind of map their experiences onto it.
Making this show has completely cured us of all of our madness, and we are now entirely healthy and functional, normal people.
What am I saying now? Oh no. I'm so sorry.
Lol.
We hope watching this will do the same for you.
Warning, this show will not make you healthy. This show has not made us healthy. This show might have made us more mad. This show might make you more mad. But hey, at least we'll be mad together. But we take no responsibility for your madness, and neither should you. We're all just products of our environment and genetic code, right? Right? Blame your parents. Buy a ticket. When it's ready. We haven't made it yet, but we're going to make it. Just get off our back, okay? We're trying our fucking best, all right? It's been a pretty stressful year. Intrusive thoughts may increase upon viewing of this pitch video. We apologise for any inconvenience caused. Happiness is our priority. Your happiness and ours. Give us money. Kick that old lady in the face. Okay, we love you. Goodbye.
Choo choo!
Or have you ever thought about pushing someone off of a train platform? Because I have.
Fantastic stuff there from both Rowan and Nye. Two completely different pitches, but wow, what a day, what a way to start this event. Absolutely fantastic. So we have got on the screen with us Nye Russell-Thompson, and we have Rowan, and we also have Nye's collaborators Nerida and Duncan. Please can I encourage everyone to get their questions in for both of those pitches, so both Rowan and Nye's, if you can use the Q&A box to get those questions in. Whilst we're waiting for some of those questions to come in, let's hear from everyone on the screen. If you could introduce yourself and audio describe yourself. Rowan, if we start with you first, please.
Hi, I'm Rowan James. I'm 5'10". I've got sort of blondie, gingery hair, bluey green eyes, and a gingery beard that has lots of different shades of black and white and red, the colours, and I'm wearing a blue polo shirt.
Thank you, Rowan. If we can hear from Nye next, please.
Hello, my name is Nye. I'm 6'1". I have a sort of a rubbishy, sort of blonde-ish beard, very blonde hair, which is a bit long at the moment. I am wearing a bright yellow shirt and some very bright teal dungarees. Yes.
Thank you, Nye. Nerida, if we come to you next.
Hello, I'm Nerida. I'm a white woman. I have dark hair, which is shaved. I'm wearing a white blouse thing and purple lipstick.
And finally, can we come to you, Duncan?
I'm Duncan. I'm a white man with a beard. I'm wearing a baseball cap, so you can't really see the hair on the top of my head. I'm wearing an oversized red jumper, and behind me is my bedroom with a rubber plant where the leaves are starting to fall off of it.
Thank you so much, Duncan. So we have got some questions. We're going to get started on those. The first one is for Rowan. It's from an anonymous attendee, and it says, Rowan, your work is really beautiful. What do you see as the next step in your work with this piece?
Am I on? Yeah. It seems a real long time ago because of coronavirus. But the next step, I want to explore how it looks like at the moment in the current climate. So it might be finishing it off into a shorter film that will be played at like theatre foyers. And so that's sort of changing our thinking. But in terms of like the narrative of the story, I want to build up and it's kind of hard to explain without going into like the whole concept of the piece, but it's looking at really trying to get the clarity of the different models and the analogies and the stories that I use, really getting them really crisp and well written and clear, so it's really easy to see how it fits together, and that's by really crisping and sharpening up the writing.
Fantastic, thank you, Rowan. Ben has a question for Nye. Hi there, I'm interested in asking Nye where the piece is in its development. Is it a theatre piece or installation? What are you looking for by the way of collaboration? So that's where the piece is in its development. Is it a theatre piece or installation? And what are you looking for by the way of collaboration?
Cool, yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, so essentially, we have had a few R&Ds on this, some of them online, some of them in the space. And essentially, we have the vast majority of a script and a story put together. Just to clarify, it is as well a piece of theatre. We're looking for it to be about an hour long. And sorry, the last piece was, what are you looking for by way of collaboration? Okay, cool. So essentially we're just, so us three have been working on this for a while. And essentially what we're looking for next is essentially a production grant to fully realize the piece. I don't know if Duncan, you want to cover anything else of that, but you don't have to, it's fine, don't worry.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're really excited about with this piece is developing a slightly different kind of audio description that's integrated fully into the piece, and an audio description that isn't always trustworthy and presents a different narrative to what you see. So for our first couple of R&Ds, we worked pretty much continuously with a couple of different access consultants, and we've presented it both with AD and with BSL. So during the production grant, a huge chunk of our collaboration would also be like having at least 2 access consultants, and actually access consultants maybe sounds a bit ancillary, fellow devisers who have experience of blindness and deafness and visual impairment working with us and like making a lot of that content too. That would be a big part of our production grant as well.
Thanks, Duncan.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's brilliant. Who we've got a question here that works for both. So I will, if we start with Rowan, and then we'll ask you, Nye, and Nerida and Duncan. Wow, such different work. Can you tell us about who you think the audiences for each work might be? If we start with you, Rowan, on your audiences.
I guess just generally when I try and make work, I try and make it as open to as many different audiences as possible. And I think particularly the nature of this piece, sort of asking what disability is, I'm hoping it's universal. So I don't know if that, but that's, I guess, for everyone as much as possible, and just trying to make a universal piece about disability, but sort of in some ways looks at it from outside of itself a little bit, because I'm looking at the definitions and the different, how the models interact with each other, and how they are all kind of right if they're looked at in the context that they were written. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Rowan. Nye, how about you? What sort of audiences do you think that your work might be for?
Well, from a simple age perspective, let's just start with that one, and then I'll work from there. I imagine it's probably going to be for sort of people early teens onwards, really, because that's a lot of people will experience intrusive thoughts and things at different ages, but I think given that some of the content of the show is very rude and quite bombastic in how rude it is, I think basically it's a good place to start with that age. Also, essentially sort of much like with other things I've worked on in the past, what I try to do is have like a two-pronged approach for the audience with this one. So basically, on the one hand, I'm looking to raise awareness of intrusive thoughts to people who might not necessarily know what it is. And on the other hand, spread some like solidarity with other people who may have had, various experiences of quite severe intrusive thoughts, who just want like a little bit of comfort. But yeah, as Duncan mentioned as well, we are relying quite a lot on using audio description as a very creative tool, sort of unreliable narrator, as it were. So yeah, there is a heavy like consideration on people who have different levels of ability, and we're going to be integrating, you know, BSL and you know, captioning as well, using all these things as very, you know, like creative tools to have as many people interact with the show as possible. So yeah.
Fab. Nye, whilst you're there, we've got a question from Stuart at Artwork. They say, hey Stammer Mouths, what kind of outcomes does your work have, please? I'm interested in audio, sound in particular, so podcast, radio, broadcast performances. That snippet was a real hoot. Thanks. Cheers, Stuart.
Sure, was a hoot, wasn't it? Yeah, cool. Outcomes. So yeah, so more or less it is sort of sticking to this you know, like theatre sort of live performance aspect, but we have been exploring you know, various different other like mediums with the content as well, that we've been discussing about making a sort of like a stupid but highly informative video about intrusive thoughts, sort of based on the you know, the piracy video. You wouldn't steal a DVD or something, but it's like, you wouldn't drop kick your nan, stuff like that. Not that, but similar. So yeah, essentially sort of just watch this space really, because we're going to be playing around quite a lot with form and content.
Fab. Thank you, Nye. That is that's really exciting to imagine the different kind of mediums that could be. I'm going to direct this one to Rowan. Hi, thank you so much to both artists. I'd like to ask about some of the inspiration, where the concepts came from. So Rowan, are you able to answer that one, please? That's the inspiration for the piece and where the concepts came from.
I mean, hang on, let me just gather my thoughts. I guess it was, I had an interest in the models of disability. It was one of those things that when you scratch the surface and look deeper at it, like, actually, this is my models of disability research behind me. And there's just so many models that it's quite unbelievable, really. And they're all really valid, like nearly all of them. Like, obviously there's a few ghastly ones, but a lot of them, like the administrative or the feminist model, like in their very like lens, they're really valid. And I think that's the same with the more popular ones, like the social model, the medical model, the cultural model. You know, they're all valid in their kind of meaning. And so, but in terms of the inspiration for the piece, like I've always had a real interest in like parables, and particularly sort of stories, and and so just there seemed to be a lot of terminology around elephants, the stories of the white elephant being a gift that you don't want but kind of do want, and that double entendre. So there seemed to be lots of titillating stories around elephants that connected with ways that you could look at disability. If that answers the question.
Yeah, that's lovely. I'm already thinking of all the other stories or things, you know, elephant in the room, or Elmer the patchwork elephant, or, you know, there's you're absolutely
They're
right.
all in there. They're all in there.
They really are. So we're just moving into just the last few minutes now. So we'll do these just to cover a few more. We'll do them a little bit quicker. So just this is quite a direct one for Nye. How long do you envisage the performance being when completed?
Aiming for at least 1 hour, and at most 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Fantastic. Thank you. Nice and concise.
Yeah.
So just one more. This isn't a question, but Kate says that she would like to thank both companies, also to Nye, Nerida and Duncan. I, a parent to a 9-year-old who has debilitating intrusive thoughts and the use of a loop pedal in this work is so interesting, made me think about how we in particular live our lives. So that wasn't a question, but something that Kate just wanted to get across. And I think the last question, just the last couple of minutes, and we'll do it. Rowan, we'll get you to answer first, and then we'll go to Nye. My question for both artists, thank you for your wonderful work. I'm curious to know how you were all able to gather the courage to come out with your struggles. So, Rowan, if we go to you first, and then we'll go to Nye.
I don't really come out with my struggles. I work conceptually with a subject and then pepper it with stories that may or may not be true. So that's it really. And I mean, why I came out is simple, like just anger at discrimination and not being able to not even anger, just frustration that I didn't have a reference point to talk about disability and that's why I started talking about it. So that's it really.
Thank you, Rowan. Over to you, Nye.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sort of similarly. But like with me, I have a specific need, or rather, like it's more like a crutch. I often find it very hard to express myself normally. So I'm like, okay, let's make an entire theatre piece about this issue that I had for a long time. I don't know if Nerida, you wanted to pop in on this question as well.
Yeah, sure. I think, like Nye's kind of touched on, I think we've had a really interesting development with myself and Nye. I think you've suffered more with intrusive thoughts throughout the process of learning what the most helpful way is to communicate it, and also finding solidarity and finding our voice through making the show. I think especially for me, I found that I found through making art about it, it's helped us to understand it and to be able to express it, and then to be able to help other people to do the same, I think. Through making. And I think that's what can be so great about making art, is it can help you to understand yourself, but it can also help you to, to explore these ideas.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add one final thing to that as well, is that it did take me a long time to come to terms with what I'd experienced. So I haven't had intrusive thoughts for about 6 years now, but that, like, it took about 4 years for me to actually like be able to, come out, as it were, and sort of talk about this more publicly, because it's a very, very difficult subject to talk about. But yeah, there we are.
I can imagine. Thank you so much, Nye, Nerida and Duncan and Rowan for those answers. Just before we go into a break, again, this isn't a question, it's just an offering. Michaela Butter says, hi Nye, I don't know if you know about this. Have a look at the Difference Engine captioning system developed by Talking Birds theatre company, which works on people's mobiles. It's very flexible and good value, and it's been really popular with younger audiences. So I'm sure they can Unlimited can get that information over to you. Once again, a huge thank you to the brilliant Rowan, Nye, Nerida and Duncan. What a great way to start this, and absolutely fantastic, brilliant questions from everyone. Let's keep those questions coming in for the next lot after the break. We're going to take a break now. It is only going to be 10 minutes, so hopefully that will be okay okay with everyone. When we come back, we are going to see Chanje Kunda's pitch and also Katy Bennett's pitch. But for now, we'll go and have a bit of a break. So enjoy your 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
jam session.
Katy, don't lose it. Yeah. She missed me. She missed me. I can't believe she missed me when I come home. She missed me. She missed me. I can't believe she missed me when I come home. Love me so sweet is what you believe. I will have a dream about you, baby girl. Because I just can't sleep without you. And why do you make me silly like that? Because I know this girl more than me. Yeah. I just want to love you forever, baby girl. So she missed me so much, and I miss her so much. I just remember when you used to love me. It was nice and sweet like honey. That is what we made for our tea. Baby, just put some sugar in your tea. Don't forget to share it between you and me. Please don't take too long with me. It's not supposed to be. La-da-dee, you make me sing that sweet melody. I want you right now. Miss you so much, baby girl. I think about you every time. So she missed me when I come home. La-dee-dee, la-dee-dee, la-dee-dee.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unlimited's event today. Hope you had a nice 10-minute break. We are now going to see a pitch by Chanje Kunda, who is going to deliver her pitch now. So hope you enjoy, and remember to be thinking about your questions, ready to put them into the Q&A box after the second pitch. Enjoy.
I'm here to talk about my short film, Kintsugi Gold. Kintsugi Gold is a short film that is about the experience of having complex PTSD. I wanted to find a way to celebrate people with severe and enduring mental health conditions. I also discovered that Japanese art galleries repair broken pottery by filling their cracks with gold, and this often makes the piece even more beautiful than the original. I wanted to show how it felt to be broken inside, but for it also to be a celebration of people who feel that way. And so I used the concept of kintsugi to make a metaphor that celebrates people with complex PTSD. Here is an extract. My complex post-traumatic stress disorder is a church founded on a golden sculpture of my crucifixion. I am broken by complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Glimpses of a past life held together by my body, glinting like a mosaic basilica. I am made into a goddess of my own temple. The broken contain the elements in the stars. The broken contain the elements in dark matter. The broken contain the ocean. My complex post-traumatic stress disorder is a church founded on a golden sculpture of my crucifixion. Extreme violence and emotional torture where there was no chance of escape and attempts were futile, caused my complex post-traumatic stress disorder. My emotions erupted and imploded, and because they had nowhere to go, they were embedded deep, deep inside, like gold and treasure lost beneath the ocean. I know I'm broken. Japanese galleries repair broken pottery by filling their cracks with gold. This makes the piece more inspiring than the original. They don't try to hide or disguise the cracks, but make a beautiful feature of them. The places that they were broken become the most valuable. How does it feel to be broken inside? The trauma cannot fade with elapsed time. After 7 minutes, 7 hours, 7 days, 7 months, 7 years, emotional flashbacks, episodic, recurring, echoed over and over, caught in an elliptical cycle, almost unearthly in its effects. I dissociate from my emotions. My mind escapes like an astronaut detaching from a space station and floating out into space alone, into the emptiness, into the nothingness. It's like being in space and you're looking down on Earth and you realize you're not on it. It's surreal. You're actually in orbit, zero gravity, in the expanse that exists between celestial bodies. People with PTSD are gold. You are perfect, whole and complete, just the way you are. You have been through a crucifixion and you have risen again. You are golden in your broken places. We are the depths of the ocean, the depths of despair, the depths of the universe. We are magical, mad deep, mad amazing, mad beautiful, beautiful in our brokenness. Celebrate our shatteredness. Become an alchemist. Perform kintsugi on ourselves. Broken and all. Golden and all. Precious and all. I hope you enjoyed that short excerpt. I'm hoping that this short film could be the starting point for a longer multimedia art piece that celebrates the lives of people with severe and enduring mental health conditions. I would like to contrast them with people who are in their right minds. People who are in their right minds. They are on an endless quest to earn a living, and the monotony of it makes them have the desire to escape, if even for a moment. With my complex PTSD, one of my main symptoms is disassociation, where my mind escapes. And people with mental health conditions often have therapies, and this makes them delve deeper into themselves, deeper into their past, and have discoveries and epiphanies, and there's no place for boredom in that world. I would like partnership support to research and develop a longer multimedia art piece that could be either shown in art galleries or shown as part of a digital film festival.
Thank you so much to Chanje. Wow, what a powerful piece. We are now going to hear from Katy Bennett. So as before, please remember to get your questions into the Q&A box. Until then, let's enjoy Katy's pitch. Thank you.
Hello, I am Katy Rose Bennett, and I was a mentee on the English Folk Expo Artist Mentoring Programme funded by Unlimited. As part of the programme, I got a year of expert mentoring from a music industry professional, and it just transformed my outlook as a professional artist. As part of the programme, I created this video. Enjoy. Thank you. I'm Katy Rose Bennett. I write compelling and emotional songs which tell stories of love, despair, connection and community. I think that's kind of how I describe it. All my life's work is about connecting people through music and song, whether that's running community choirs or leading songwriting workshops or creating and performing my own songs. Everything I do is about song. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The mist rising from the river Ray hangs around most of the day, and I haven't followed the heron home since the end of September. This is the day they tell us to think of those gone before they're due. I can only think of you and not forget to remember you're still here. In the air around us, the mist, the rain, the snow, still here. In the earth beneath us, the lattices we grow, still here. In the words we say and the love we hide away till we meet again some cold November day.
I think what inspires me is the natural world, sea, mountains, trees, birds, anything to do with nature. I'm inspired by relationships, by people I've loved and people I love. I'm inspired by stories I hear or read about, as well as by my own experiences of mental and physical ill health as well. I suppose they'd be the kind of main inspirations for my music, I'd say.
Where does it hurt? Where is the pain? Where is the rage? The sadness, where is the shame? Where does it go when you hide it away? Deep in the shadows or buried in clay, in the dust and the dirt. Oh, where does it hurt?
I think when someone comes to hear me play my songs, more than anything, I want them to feel something. I think songs contain emotion in a totally unique way, whether that feeling is one of joy or anger or despair or hope or grief or love or whatever. There's something containing about a song. It's like a vessel for emotion, and it's something you can call upon whenever you need it. So I think I just really want people to feel when they come and hear me play. Do you know what I mean? I like to create intimate performances, and I think by being emotionally vulnerable myself, I hope that enables other people to be open and vulnerable in their response. Over the last few years, I've really come to know the incredible strength in vulnerability. And as humans, it's really the only way that we can truly know ourselves and each other. I just love playing music to people. It's the thing that makes me get up in the morning and makes me feel alive. Long may it continue.
Did you see the sky this morning? Sun pushing through, covering every building in an eerie hue. And did you see the sky this morning? Oh, I thought of you. No, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Wow, another absolutely stunning piece there, this time by Katy Rose Bennett, absolutely beautiful. I'd now like to invite Katy and Chanje. Here you are, hello. Before we go on to the Q&As, if I can get you both to introduce yourself and audio describe yourselves. In the meantime, if everyone can feel free to get their questions in to the Q&A box, please, not the chat, if that's okay. Let's start with you, Chanje.
Hi, I'm Chanje. I am dark-skinned Black African woman. I've got long black locks that have been swept over to one side, and I've got some blue and green peacock wallpaper behind me.
Hi, hi everyone. My name's Katy Rose Bennett. I'm a white woman with short brown hair that I've been cutting myself for the last year, and I'm in my living room, which is also my kind of recording work studio, and you've got some guitars in the background there and a slightly dishevelled sofa as well. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you both very much. Two completely different pieces, and yet both of them just so stunning and striking and empowering. I know that I certainly felt that just watching the two of them then, so well done both of you. Just before we move on to some questions, we do just have a comment from an attendee. It's an anonymous attendee that says, hi, I'm not ready to say this with my name attached, but I just wanted to say, as someone in treatment for OCD and PTSD, thank you to Nye and Chanje for these two pictures. I felt it in my core, unsettled, uncomfortable, and finally grateful and somehow seen. As an arts administrator, I've always had to detach myself from my work and fully remove my own experiences when presenting others' work. And I just wanted to say thank you. I just wanted to read that one out first, because sometimes we all just have to be completely reminded of some of the reasons why we do this, and to be able to touch other people in ways that other mediums maybe don't is fantastic. So thank you to the attendee that sent that in. We have got a question from Noah, which says, hi Chanje, first thank you for another golden person for this beautiful complex exploration. Can you elaborate a bit more on what aspects of this work you are keen to develop further?
Yeah, I did this short film for the Dada Fest, the Kintsugi Gold one, which is, you saw an excerpt of it, but the full piece of that is just under 8 minutes. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to develop it further by creating some more digital art. So if that first 8-minute film would be the first in a trilogy, so that I would create 2 more short films to create a longer multimedia piece. And I was talking a bit in the pitch about comparing or contrasting it with contrasting people with severe mental health conditions with neurotypical people, because I was reading this book called Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, and he said he was talking about the profound, the reassuring yet profoundly unsatisfactory state known as being in one's own mind. And he said that most people lead lives at worst so painful and at best so monotonous and limited that the urge to escape and the longing to transcend themselves even for a few moments is and always has been a principal appetite for the soul. So what I would have liked to do in the second part, the second episode, is I would like to do it about normalcy. And so I'd use like the poetry and visual metaphors and live art to explore normalcy and the monotony of normalcy. And then in the third episode, I would kind of explore the complex, deep work that people with severe mental health conditions have. And when you go through this process, then you can have epiphanies, and you can have discoveries, and also come to a place of acceptance where it doesn't matter if you're all in bits, because each individual fragment is a representative of divinity. So kind of bring it round full circle, and hopefully it could be used to reduce the stigma around serious mental health conditions. So that's what I would like to do.
Thank you so much, Chanje. I think you're absolutely right. What it felt when I was watching that is it just opened up this space for. You used the word epiphany there, and I love that. I think that's really quite true. A comment here from Michaela says, "Wonderful performances. Both of them moved me to tears. Thank you both for bringing some light into the dark days in which we're living." Absolutely, Michaela. I completely agree. Katy, we have a question for you on anonymous attendee saying, "Hi Katy, your music is beautiful and does hold emotions so well. What are your plans for these songs?"
Well, I've just in the last year I released an album. In as much as you can release an album at the moment, it's quite hard to do that in our current circumstances. I've got a 6-album back catalogue, so they're kind of represented there, but I'm hoping to develop more kind of ways of performing the songs in slightly novel ways. So that's one aspect, is just trying to present them I'd quite like to, when it's possible, to be performing live and in intimate spaces, because at the moment, that thing of being in a room together, close to people, experiencing live performance just isn't possible. And when that is possible, I'd like to be able to enter that space again and develop performance opportunities across the UK and hopefully further afield in other territories, but we'll see how that goes. I'm also I'm just in the early stages of an R&D process on a piece which is incorporating song and spoken word and storytelling to explore my own mental health experiences, but also my experience of a functional neurological disorder which affects my mobility, and really a bit like with the other pieces talked about today, just trying to encourage empathy with mental health conditions and understanding and challenging stigma and perception around certain conditions. And so I've got a couple of kind of pots on the boil, if you like, of different ways of presenting the work, and really just I think, as I said in the film, it's just like the thing I just want to do is connect people and connect with people, and that's really the only way we can heal the divisions we currently have in the world, which are many and vast. And I think just bringing people together through shared experience, really. That makes sense. It's a bit vague.
No, it's not. I think that you're going to do that perfectly, Katy. Another question just off the back of that conversation, Katy, again from another anonymous attendee, says, what specific things did the programme with Folk Expo give you?
It was pretty, so that's the thing which was funded by Unlimited, was my participation in this mentoring programme. And I think more than anything, I was paired with someone in the music industry who's been a music publisher, and he worked with Cliff Richard, in fact, for about 40 years, and but he just helped me prepare, kind of seeing myself as an artist and seeing myself as also as a business, and approaching art as a business, not in a way that detaches you from the art, but actually in order to be able to have a successful and long and sustained career, you have to be able to like propel it forward, and so creating plans and just having an idea of not just the next month but the next 12 months or the next 5 years, and having a more looking to the future in order to be able to create really authentic, genuine art right now, having that plan for the future. I suppose that was the really big thing for me about that.
Brilliant. Thank you, Katy. We have got a question now for Chanje from A-List that says, thank you both for sharing your work. Question for Chanje. I'm appreciating your poetry and visual style. Are you also the filmmaker for your work?
I collaborated with a director and an art director, so I wrote and performed it, and I wrote in the some of the what they call in film shots. So I said that I wanted to have crockery being broken at this point, and I want those visuals around kind of breaking things, and I want to do kintsugi on myself, and I want some visual imagery around oceans and stuff like that. So I was able to say it, and then the art director went and bought some crockery, and then we got a camera person to film the crockery being broken, and then it was the art director who said, oh, let's put some different colours inside the crockery. So I'd come up with the concepts, and then I worked with a director and art director to make it look beautiful.
And you did exactly that. Another question for Chanje. How do you gather the courage to face the stigma and discouraging attitudes that try to avoid any form of discomfort, especially when it comes to the subject of trauma and society, which sort of wish to avoid the subject altogether? What's your kind of process in terms of gathering that courage?
Well, for me personally, I don't understand why there's stigma, because someone could say, right, well, I'm autistic, or someone could say I'm Down syndrome. It's like some people are Down syndrome, some people are autistic, some people have got complex PTSD, you know, some people have got schizophrenia. I don't really see what the matter of it is, and how I came to like make this piece and also think about kintsugi was sometimes I always tell people I've got complex PTSD, and they will say, oh, well, what caused your complex PTSD? So my response that I say was, if you see a broken vase or a broken plate and it doesn't belong to you, do you need to know how and when each crack or each chip happened? Do you need to know the history of its breaking, or would you just accept that it's broken? And I say, well, I'm that vase and I'm that plate. And so that's just my way of saying, I'm telling you I've got this, and so you don't need to know everything about it. So I'm just trying to be myself, and actually I would find it more difficult to not say I've got severe and enduring mental health condition, because then I'd always have to be pretending, and I don't want to pretend. I haven't got energy for pretending, and actually I'm very proud of who I am, and including all my brokenness.
Absolutely, rightly so. Sorry, Katy.
No,
absolutely.
I was just going to jump in there because I write about trauma quite a lot in my songs, and for a long time there's a huge amount of shame associated with trauma and experiences where there's blame and shame and guilt attached to all those things, and actually there's something really liberating about saying, well, this is my truth, this is how it is for me. And I think I found your film really powerful, and I love the concept of kintsugi. I think it's just wonderful how something can be even more precious with that. And what was I going to say? I've completely lost my words. But really, you know, I think yes, there are far more people who have experienced trauma of different kinds, and actually by articulating it yourself so clearly, it just resonates with other people, and they can go, oh, I know that feeling, and I can connect with that, which I think that's why that piece is so powerful that you presented. And I think that's kind of our role as artists.
And by expressing it through different art forms, right? You know, your emotion was held in song and music, and Chanje, yours were in words and visuals, and people connect with things in different ways. So who's to say that one subject matter can only be done through one art form, right? It's that's where the power is in the difference of storytelling and how we go about that. Just for the last few minutes, this was a question for Chanje, but I'd actually like to ask both of you if that's okay. So Chanje, if I start with you, and then we'll go to Katy. Chanje, your work is so powerful. How did you start the process of writing? And then Katy, I'll come to you on your writing process after. We've just got a few more minutes left for this.
I wrote it during lockdown, and basically I went to Blackpool because I thought that they'd not been having many tourists this year. So I went to Blackpool, and I went to the beach and I watched the sea, and I wrote it watching the sea. So that was my process on it, but I mean, I already had the smashing and breaking and kintsugi in my mind, but I think being by the sea influenced a lot of the writing as well. So I like to go away to do writing.
That makes sense. Thank you, Chanje. And Katy, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting you talk about the sea, because I often write by the sea, and the song in the middle of what I presented, a song called Where Does It Hurt, and I wrote that. This is just an example of how I write. I was listening to a podcast with the American civil rights activist Ruby Sales, who was very active in the 60s but has been since the 60s, and it was called Where Does It Hurt, and about her experience of just asking that question of someone, where does it hurt, and eliciting a response which is far deeper than if you just say, how are you, oh, I'm fine, whereas actually if you go into where does it hurt, then you kind of disarm people quite quickly. Yeah. So that was the inspiration. I had a 3-hour drive from Birmingham to West Wales about a year and a half ago, and I was staying in a little static caravan, and I looked out across the sea, and I wrote it in about an hour, because it was just kind of was percolating as I was driving, because it's not very safe to write while driving. But I have done that a few times. But yeah, so I think so. I feel really inspired by being by the sea and being in nature. That's very much the things that kind of feed my creative soul, really.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, clearly nature works for both of you, because you both produced such wonderful pictures there. We are now coming to the end of this session, and I just want to have the chance to say thank you so much to all of the artists that have had their pictures on this morning. Thank you to the audiences that have taken part today. I really hope you have a fantastic rest of the festival. Good luck to all of the artists. You have all got such wonderful pictures, and I know I, for one, I'm probably one of many that are really excited to see exactly where all of these wonderful pieces go. So yes, hopefully we can all keep in touch and hear more about their development. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to Unlimited. Have a wonderful rest of the festival. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Because I miss you so much, baby girl. I think about you every time. So she must be when I come.